How's it going, everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mike Starr, and on today's video I thought I'd go through my top 10 favorite Rugrats episodes of all time. Now, if you don't know and you're new to this channel, I'm a huge Rugrats fan. It was a big part of my childhood. It definitely shaped who I am today and my taste in cinema and animation. Growing up with Rugrats, I was born in 92. The show first aired in 91. So growing up with Rugrats, going to the cinema on my 7th birthday and watching the first movie, it was a big deal for me. Rugrats was a big deal for kids back in the day. It was one of the first Nickelodeon shows to put Nickelodeon on the map. One of the first 3 shows, animated Nickelodeon TV shows, along with Doug and Ren and Stimpy, to really pioneer Nickelodeon's animated TV shows and really make Nickelodeon a household name. Created by Arlen Klasky, Gabor Kapusko, and Paul Germain, this show was definitely the #1 animated television show for Nickelodeon. It definitely surpassed Doug and definitely surpassed Ren and Stimpy in my opinion. And the show spanned on for 9 seasons, you know, with over 170 episodes, with 372 segments, because each episode had 2 segments, 2 stories, which went on for 10 minutes each, and the episode totaled duration of 20 minutes. But yeah, anyways. But if you are a current subscriber, you do know that I'm a huge Rugrats fan, so I thought I'd all make this video because I turned 30 last week, and I'll never grow out of Rugrats, because to me, Rugrats is a show that's relevant to kids and adults, and it teaches you a lot about life, and it taught me a lot about life. Coming from a broken home, it definitely was something I could turn to for entertainment and comfort, and it was a show that was magical for me and very special to me. You know, going to the video store when I was a kid, I'd always rent it or I'd tape it off ABC as a kid, because the first 6 seasons are the best. But when Dill came into the picture, it started to go downhill. I kind of still liked it when Dill was in it, but when Kimmy came into it, started to add all these new characters and the animation changed. A lot of the music changed. For me, Mark Mothersbaugh, I think that's how you pronounce his name, along with his brother, the music was so nostalgic. The music was just something else, you know. I love the music so much that I've tried to extract it from the segments and the episodes, and I'm making my own little album on the computer of the music from Rugrats, because the music's very, very beautiful. Something about it it's magical, you know, so magical. Anyways, I've been rambling on long enough, so let's get this video started with my top 10 favorite Rugrats episodes of all time. Let's go. And we're rolling. And here we go. Here is the famous Rugrats intro. Oh, I can't tell you how I went crazy for this show back in the day. How many times I saw this introduction, and how this takes me back to when I was a kid, and I would lose it whenever I'd see this introduction. I just used to get so excited watching Rugrats. Now here's Angelica Pickles by Chuckie Finster. And there's Tommy Pickles, there's Dee Pickles, and Stu Pickles. And Phil and Lil in the back there. And there we go. There's the infamous Rugrats logo, created by Arlen Klasky, Gabor Kapusko, and Paul Germain. Okay, here we go. Episode 1, at the movies. Now, I remember this episode as a 4 or 5-year-old. This was one of the first episodes in the first seasons. And here they are. They're parodying Indiana Jones. Not that I knew what it was back in the day. And as they're switching over to the next screen, this is actually parodying Taxi Driver. Not that I would have seen Taxi Driver back then. Not for another 20 years or so. And they finally get to the Reptar. And Reptar's supposed to be a bit like King Kong. And there you go. There's Phil and Lil. Reptar versus the pterodactyl, which is supposed to be King Kong versus the lizard. I don't know the exact names for them, but they're pretty much copying King Kong. Yeah. Oh, next one is Slumber Party. Now, this episode, this takes me back. I used to have this taped on tape. And this is when Tommy has a fever and he's hallucinating, and there's Angelica. She's not contributing anything positive to the situation. There's Grandpa Lou and Drew. Drew is Stu's, I think it's his younger brother or old, I can't remember. But yeah, there's Grandpa Lou. There's Dee Dee as the moon holding Tommy. This episode, you just get those goosebumps down your spine and just shivers. Like, just watching this, I can remember where I was watching this as a kid. And the 90s was such a nostalgic time for me, and it was great. I loved the 90s. This episode, very confusing as a child. I never understood it though. Anyways, next one is Real or Robots. Now this episode is such a creative episode. Now all I can say is, as an adult, look at this weather. Look at the way it's shot. Look at the angles. Now as a filmmaker, back in the day, I could never really express myself in regards to these scenes and the way they're shot and just how beautiful it is and how it makes for a great episode. Now this, they're parodying Frankenstein, I'm pretty sure. This, I never understood what this was. I just thought it was some guy fixing a robot, and there you go. There's Tommy Pickles and Chuckie Finster. Now Tommy's outfit for the show, it definitely changed a lot over the years. You definitely see his trademark blue shirt in the later seasons, and I think that they only kept it for maybe the first season. And yeah, because in the second season he looks different. The drawings are more defined. But yeah, this episode, it's so creative and funny, and now I look back at this and laugh. But as a kid, this used to freak me out. I love this bit. This is hilarious. That's so funny. Oh, Chuckie versus the Potty. Now this episode, I used to rent the VHS tape from the video shop near where I lived at the time, which was Video Easy. And the VHS tape was Chuckie the Brave. Now as you can see here, the drawings are a lot better. They're more defined. And this is the second season. This is when Rugrats really started to make a name for itself. And this is when Rugrats really started to hit it big. And they teach you very useful lessons. This is obviously about toilet training. But for me, I was way past learning how to use the toilet when I watched this episode. Now, I really love this dream sequence. Look how freaking creative it is. As a kid, this is just, even like little kids think about these weird scenarios. Now watch what happens to Chuckie. And they've incorporated the whole cast. There you go, there's Angelica into this scene. It's just so over the top, and that's what makes it funny. And now I just sit back and laugh. But back in the days, I would watch this in silence because it was just so captivating, just beautiful. Now, Showdown at Teeter, Totter, Gulch. This was definitely one of my favorite episodes growing up. I used to call it the junk food kid episode. We used to have it taped off the TV. And this one's about this kid that is bullying the kids at the playground and is always eating unhealthy snacks like chocolates, candy. There you go. She put an ice block in his diaper. Now this bully with the overalls laughing, her name is Prudence. I don't remember what this other little girl's name is, but watch what happens now. And yeah, this also teaches you a really good lesson on how not to resort to violence and how to stick up to bullies. And back in those days, they really used to send a good message to kids. I think in this day and age, yeah, they don't really have that same ethic that they used to. Always crying. Okay, and the next episode's Mirrorland. I used to love this episode. And for me, I would always watch this and I'd just be in a world of my own. Seeing Tommy, watch what happens now. They think that there's a whole other world in the mirror. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get to that world. So right now, Chuckie is going to distract Tommy because they think their reflection in the mirror is alive. It's not themselves. And this is what Chuckie's trying to do. Now, while Chuckie distracts the mirror Tommy, Tommy's going to run into the mirror and hopefully get transported into Mirrorland. There you go, he's being transported into Mirrorland, and Chuckie accidentally... he's so over the top, Chuckie, just always screaming. And he plays the scared type of baby, the really wuss. But there's a good contrast between all the characters. No bones about it. This episode, I think I was still in diapers when I used to watch these episodes, because these were the earlier ones. Now, this is when they go to the museum and they want to bring Spike along, and they can't because dogs aren't allowed in the museum, and then there's a security guard that's chasing the babies throughout the whole episode, and watch Grandpa Lou and this security guard go at it. But then he sticks it to her. Watch what happens. There you go. He's just like, yeah, I'm going, and then 3, 2, 1. See ya. There you go. But I love like, you know, it's such an innocent show, such a beautiful story, and just I love it. And there you go. I think this episode was actually referencing a movie, but I can't remember though. Beach Blanket Babies. Now, Beach Blanket Babies, this one I remember as a kid, I'd have it taped off the TV, and I remember as a kid the quality was terrible because VHS tapes, I don't know, they always used to wreck. And there you go. And this episode, I remember like it was yesterday. I remember being 4 or 5 just watching this episode, and the music, and like I was just saying earlier, I would lose myself in these episodes, and it's just so nostalgic, and it'd been a world of my own because these episodes, they stick with me today. Now, the inside story, out of every episode in the entire Rugrats series, this is my favorite episode of all time. Me and my brother used to love this episode growing up, and it's just an amazing story. When Chuckie eats a watermelon, well, the babies eat a watermelon, and Chuckie, watch what happens to Chuckie. He eats the watermelon, and the grandpa finds out because Angelica, she snitches on them, and then Chuckie holds it in his mouth, but swallows it by accident. He thinks a pip's gonna grow inside of him, and the babies shrink themselves down and go into Chuckie's body to try to get rid of this seed, or the watermelon pip. But Angelica has other things on her mind. She wants to make it grow because she always has that mischievous attitude about it. There you go, they're in Chuckie's nose, they were stuck in the boogers, now the babies are flying through his throat, his lungs, and now they're in Chuckie's lungs. And this episode, it's just such a creative story. As a kid, you would believe half the stuff that Rugrats would tell you because, you know, it's just believable and it's just so cool. And you look at the drawings and the colors and you appreciate the art. Okay, and the next episode is The Slide. Now this episode, this is another favorite episode of mine where Chuckie is the lead protagonist. And this was also on the Chuckie the Brave VHS tape, and this is where Chuckie, he wants to go down his favorite slide, but he can't because of a traumatic experience that he had. And then you see just the exaggeration of when Chuckie goes to this playground, this indoor playground, and he goes down this slide with the loop-the-loop. It's an amazing story. You see the exaggeration? I just love it. Home movies. Now, this is definitely at the apex of Rugrats' success. This is such a creative episode, and this is definitely at the apex of Rugrats' creativity. The way that this episode is made, there'll definitely never ever be another cartoon like this. This is an episode where the parents want to show their home movies to the family, and the babies don't. They get bored, so they don't want to be a part of that. So they make their own home movies with their crayon drawings, and Tommy is telling a story about, that's Tommy, the red thing, and the yellow thing was Spike, and that's Tommy's mom in the purple. But yeah, that's Tommy's breakfast, and he's eating his breakfast, and those two blue squiggly lines are Phil and Lil. Even though you're seeing many squiggly lines on screen, this episode is still to this day very entertaining and just so creative also. And yeah, there's Chuckie, and Angelica comes and ruins this all as another crayon drawing. But anyways, the mysterious Mr. Friend, and this is definitely a reference to old school 80s, 90s horror with Chuckie and dolls and Gary dolls, and there's a clown doll, and Chuckie's afraid of clowns in the show. So Stu, who is Tommy's father, makes these toys. He's a toy maker, he's an inventor, and he makes these toys for the babies, and the kids are freaked out. So this story has a good moral to it. It's about fighting and facing your fears, and the babies, see Tommy's leading them and saying, let's go, it's all for one, you know? Here we go, Cuffed. Another great episode. I grew up watching this. This was not as nostalgic as the other episodes, but this was one that I watched quite a bit growing up. Yeah, Angelica, she's snooping around through her parents' cupboard, and she finds these handcuffs that are a present. They're actually for the needy. And she actually opens it and accidentally handcuffs herself with Chuckie, and she loses the key. As you will see if you rewind this, you see the little key drop out of the box when she opens it, and yeah, the blizzard. Now this definitely is a favorite episode of mine and my brother's, and just in general a really good story where Chuckie gets this little toy truck for Christmas, and Stu steps on it by accident and breaks it, and it's Chuckie's favorite toy truck. And so they go on an expedition to get to the North Pole where Santa is, and yeah, they think Santa can fix it. So that's basically the story, and it goes into this transitional make-believe story of them in the snow, and it's just them in the backyard in the snow. But yeah, this is such a show way ahead of its time. I mean, the imagination put into this is just so crazy. Now, Angelica's worst nightmare. This is a hilarious episode where Angelica, she's the only child, and her parents, you know, tell her that that they're gonna have another baby, and Angelica here falls asleep and has this dream. Now this dream sequence, it's pretty hilarious, but as a kid growing up, it's definitely quite scary, and for me it was definitely something that freaked me out a lot. Now this is an exaggeration of Angelica's parents picking favorites with their kids, and here's Angelica saying, what about me, what about me, and the parents, they don't really care about her, telling her, oh, you know, we're moving you into the other room, and your baby, this new baby's going to have all the toys, and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, now Angelica goes and finds out that this baby is this baby that can talk, this big baby, and the baby bullies her and tells her, stay out of his way, and this house is mine, and it's not big enough for both of us, and she's screaming. It's just so funny because it's yeah, that would never happen. But yeah, now the parents are telling her that we're going out now, we're getting food for the baby, and you know, she's saying, what about me, and you can sleep in here, and yeah, they're just showing her that they don't care. There you go, there's a piece of cheese for dinner that Charlotte gave Angelica. Charlotte Pickles, that's Angelica's mother's name in the show. And here's poor Angelica saying, what's happened to my parents, what happened, you know, I used to be the favorite, now this baby's the favorite, and this is funny. There you go, there's the big baby that's eating Angelica's dinner, and as you can tell, this is totally bizarre and ridiculous, but as a little kid, you just watch this, and you know, you could relate to this scene and agree with what's going on, because that's the way little kids think, and I love the way the creators have done this. They make it adaptable to kids, but also adults, because as an adult now I watch this and think it's bizarre and funny, but I can still see what they're doing and the message they're trying to send to little kids, and it's not just a show, it's a show with meaning, like I've mentioned a lot of times throughout this narration. And there you go, Angelica's driving off. Watch what happens to this baby. Watch what happens to the baby. Turns into this giant, and yeah, it's ridiculous, but yeah, it's so good. I love it, you know, I love this. And this episode's so good, I still remember it like it was yesterday. Now, the Mega Diaper Babies, this is a parody of Captain Planet and the Planeteers. For those of you that didn't grow up in the 90s, Captain Planet and the Planeteers was an animated TV show about these superheroes that put their rings together and fight crime crime basically against the environment, you know, people that cut down trees and monsters and certain things like that. But now this, the babies have put together their teething rings instead of rings on their finger, and they've become the mega diaper babies. And Angelica plays the antagonist, the villain in this. And each baby in this episode has their own unique superhero character in this episode, and that's Dotted Line Girl that Lil is playing, and Angelica plays Angelatron, and that's Rugrats for you. That's it for this video, but there are a lot of episodes that I really do like that are the equivalent to a lot of these episodes that I've just showed you all in this video, but I can't put every single episode in one video. But to me, Rugrats is one of those shows where the majority of the episodes I loved and I liked. These are just some of the most nostalgic, the ones that I watched the most. And yeah, anyways, we're gonna wrap this video up here because I've been rambling on long enough. Okay, subscribe if you haven't. Comment me down below if you have anything in your mind. Give it a thumbs up, and thank you to all my current subscribers. You are very, very, very supportive, and I love you all. Mike Star signing off. Have a good night.
Angelica? Yeah? Summer party's always like that. It's like I told you before. If you have to ask, you'll never know. Hey, wait!